Fuerteventura is the Canary island that is renowned for its vast golden beaches and surfing opportunities. But it also has a unique and fascinating desert-like interior, which contains numerous interesting small villages and towns that are worth exploring. In this video we will be looking at the main tourist resorts, the beaches and some of the places to visit. Before we do this, let's first look at the climate. Fuerteventura is at 20 million years the oldest Canary island and the driest due to its relatively subdued topography compared to the westerly mountainous islands. Like all the islands, there is comfortably low humidity, moderate year-round air temperatures, a strong sun and brisk winds on the eastern coasts. In the winter period, temperatures are typically a pleasant 20 to 22 degrees Celsius in the day and no less than 15 at night, while summer temperatures really exceed 28 degrees. Ocean temperatures vary from 18 to 21, which can be a little bit on the cool side. These characteristics, however, mask the strength of the sun at these southerly latitudes, with higher extreme UV indices from March to October, so be very careful. The main resorts are mainly located on the east coast's gentler terrain and ocean conditions. In the north, around 40 minutes from the airport, is the lively and busy Corralejo and the smaller, far less developed El Cortillo. 10 minutes from the airport is the family-friendly Caleta de Fuste and the neighbouring smaller developments. In the south are the laid-back resort areas of Costa Calma and Morro Hable, which are 1 hour and 1 hour and a quarter respectively from the airport. These southerly resorts are popular with German tourists and are the warmest and least windy due to their more sheltered locations from the northeasterly trade winds. Morro Hable is the southernmost town on the island and has a long history as a fishing village. It was the first tourist resort on the island back in the 1960s and provides a good access to the incredible beaches of the Handia Peninsula. It has an old town with interesting little shops, and around the ocean front there are many bars and restaurants, a local beach and a promenade that leads to more beaches. The promenade eventually leads to the newer development of Handia, where the majority of the main shops are located and where there is a golf course. There is a variety of accommodation in the area, comprising apartments in the old town, apartments in various complexes and rooms in small and large hotels. In terms of nightlife, this area offers a bit for everybody, but is more suited to families, couples and for people who do not need loud music and discos. For those who like exploring, it's worth visiting the remote and dramatic Caleta beach on the west coast, which is only accessible via a 20-kilometre dirt road from Morro Hable. The ocean on the west coast of Fuerteventura can be very rough and is only suitable for surfing in places. At Caleta there is the mysterious Casa Winter, which was built by the German engineer Gustav Winter after he bought the whole Handia Peninsula in the 1930s. Whilst it's now a museum, it's long been suspected of being a German wartime hideout. Have a look at my separate Caleta video for further details. Further up from Morro Hable and Handia towards Costa Calma are some smaller, quiet beachside developments like Esquinto. Like Morro Hable, Costa Calma is another relatively quiet resort, popular with German and other North European visitors and residents. It's a purpose-built area with a variety of decent modern accommodation, bars, restaurants and some calm, shallow water beaches. Near Costa Calma are the Botanical Gardens and the Oasis Wildlife Park. Free buses run from various resorts to these attractions. Nearby is the famous Playa Sotavento, part of which becomes a lagoon at high tide. The area is popular with windsurfers and holds annual championships. Further up the coast are a few small local towns with black sandy beaches, such as La Lajita, which may be suitable as a base for those looking to avoid main tourist areas. On the west coast, not too far from Costa Calma, is the small development of La Pared, which is popular with surfers who use the scenic local beach. The resort nearest to the airport is Caleta de Fuste and neighbouring developments, including 2 large golf courses with urbanisations. This area, which is popular with British visitors, has a number of good points, which include the central location for exploring interior villages and towns, short transfer time, a large range of good quality value accommodation, bars, restaurants and shops, a varied, fairly relaxed nightlife, a huge, safe, child-friendly artificial beach, and some other sheltered beaches outside the hotel complexes. In addition, for those who like to visit a proper city, then the capital Puerto del Rosario is within easy reach. The main downsides are that there are no oceanside natural beaches like in the south, and it is also windier because of the more direct exposure to the northeasterly winds. The area known as Costa Antigua, or Nueve Horizonte, between the airport and Caleta de Fuste, is a collection of apartment complexes with pools, a few bars and restaurants, but not much else. So unless you just want to stay at your accommodation or are happy to drive or taxi everywhere, it's not particularly recommended. Corralejo in the far north is popular with British tourists and some other Europeans. It started off as a small and insignificant fishing village, which then grew rapidly from the 1980s onwards to a sprawling resort with accommodation ranging from backpacker hostels to expensive hotels. There are a number of sheltered beaches within the town, an abundance of bars and restaurants, and the liveliest nightlife anywhere in the island. South of the town is a 10-kilometre stretch of blue flag beaches, which back onto the Corralejo dunes, which are a nature reserve. As with Caleta de Fuste, this area is windier than the south. Notwithstanding some of these attractions, some may find Corralejo a bit too busy and touristy for their tastes, and may decide to stay in the much smaller remote fishing village of El Cotillo in the northwest. Unlike the rest of the west coast, this area has a series of bays separated by rocks, which create calm lagoons away from the waves. El Cotillo Beach offers white sand with rocky areas that collect seawater, ideal for rock pooling. The town itself is fairly low-key and is popular with surfers who use the beaches south of the town. Although Fuerteventura lacks the geographical diversity and greenery of the Westerly Islands, for first-timers there is still much of interest in the unique interior, which is characterised by endless tall velvety-like hills traversed by valleys and passes. There are numerous interesting viewpoints, villages and towns along the road from La Pared through Pajara, then on to Betancuria and Antigua. I have a separate video dedicated to this region. For sightseeing and convenience, I would recommend a hire car, as they are relatively cheap, with a week's hire costing less than a return private transfer to most resorts. The roads are mainly empty, and driving is much easier than in busy mainland Europe. Betancuria is the jewel of Fuerteventura and one of the most important colonial landmarks in the Canaries. It was founded in 1404 and named after the Norman explorer Jean de Bethencourt, who laid the groundwork on behalf of the Crown of Castile to conquer Lanzarote and Fuerteventura. It was the original capital of the Kingdom of the Canary Islands and later capital of Fuerteventura until 1853. It has a number of delightful buildings in the old part, including the Cathedral of Santa Maria. There are also many charming cafes and restaurants. There are also a number of other villages and towns worth exploring, such as La Oliva and Antigua on the way back to the east coast. So to sum up, Fuerteventura offers an abundance of attractive golden beaches and some convenient family-friendly resorts. While it lacks the geographical diversity and greenery of the Westerly Islands, it still offers much of interest in its unique desert-like interior and is certainly worth a visit.